Video of exercise 4.4, the nature of numbers. So what we've got here is the Python module that I have built in the nature of numbers. And of course, I had help in this with Copilot, made it go quite quicker. So what I've done is I've defined the imports at the start of the program. I've done the imports so that that's a module that we are going to be making use of. It's in Python. Then I define a bunch of constants, constant strings, and with constants you use uppercase letters as a convention. I am treating them as constant. That is a gentleman's agreement. Python does not enforce that. So we could overwrite them if we wanted to. It's going to choose not to. Inside the string, I've got a \n. And the \n means create a new line, go to a new line. And that just helps with the spacing. So we've got a few strings here that we have to use during the course of the program. I've chosen to use functions for the uh, to do things, to take as much code out of the main line as possible. So here we have a function that's defined as is even or odd. It takes a parameter, one parameter, we'll call it the letter n, and the return value is a string. This return value here is not enforced by Python. That is just there for convenience for you and I as coders. And this here function returns a string, says, does a comparison. If the string sent in is the word even, okay, then, return even if the number sent in is divisible by 2 and there's no remainder. Otherwise, just say that it's odd. So we get a string, either even or odd. Next function, right here, we're going to determine if the number has a perfect square root. And so we're going to pass the number in. And what we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to get the square root of the number. And if the square root is the same thing as the integer value of the square root, then it'll return back a true, saying that this number has a perfect square root. Okay, because when you do the square root of a number, if it is not a perfect integer, then this test would fail and you'd send back a false signal. Next, we're going to look at all the factors of a number. Well, so we use a function, the name of get factors. We send it in an integer, and we're going to return a list. So we're going to initialize a list with the two numbers, 1 and the number itself, because they're always factors. And then we'll have a loop that will look at each of the values between 2 and n minus 1. So I is our index. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the number and we're going to divide it by I. And when the number is divided by 2, 3, 4, if the remainder is 0, then that number is a factor of the number we sent in, n. And we will append that to our list of factors. When we are done that, we're going to sort the list of factors because we know that 1 and n are the first two elements, but we want to make sure that all of them are in sequence. And that's just to clean that up. And so here we have our next function, which is to accept a positive integer. An integer greater than 1 is defined as a positive integer. 1 is a positive integer, but from the mathematical definition, then we use the number 2. So to get positive integer, we're going to send in a prompt, and we're going to return an integer. And so we've got a feature in here where we can make sure that they actually do put in a proper value. So we're going to go into this loop that's while it's true, we're going to get an input string and use the prompt. Python always puts data in as a string, and so we're going to have to convert that to an integer. So what we're going to do something called try. We're going to see if we can successfully transform the input string into an integer variable. And if the value, if it fails, so you put in something silly like the letter X, it will come down here. It will do the except, and it will print the error string. And then when it prints the error string, it'll then go continue, which stays inside the while loop, which will again ask you for a number. So if you enter a value that is greater than 1, we'll hit the break, which will break us out of the while loop, and it'll continue on. And if we enter a number that is 1 or negative or 0, it will again print the error string and just continue in the loop to ask us again. When we've successfully entered a string, we know it's an integer, we're going to return the entered value. Okay, the entered value, you see here, we've already converted it to an integer. We don't really need to cast it to an int. That is for the benefit of the person who is reading this, so that they will know for sure that it is an int. Then here we have the main body of the program. Okay, so we've defined it as a function as well, and we set another number defaults to yes, so that we can set us up for so it's a string of y, and so we're going to have that as our loop condition while another number is y. Now we're going to make sure that it's always lower, because somebody could enter an uppercase y, and we just want it to go to make sure that it's y. We could have gone a little bit more specific here and said if the first character in number is in the variable y is lower, in case they enter something like yes, but we haven't done that at this point. That would be more for when we're trying to deal with really, really silly testers, or to really make our program bulletproof. So, do we want another number? Well, the first time through, we don't ask. We just say, get a positive integer with our prompt string. And we saw that function up above, where we'll get a positive integer, and it's going to be stored as an integer. And we will have the prompt string is defined up above. Then we're going to test, is it even or odd? And again, is it even or odd? Remember, that was up here. It's going to return the string either even or odd. Perfect square has perfect square root. And this will return a Boolean value of yes or no. Okay, so we're just practicing the different types of return values. And the factors, as the function up above showed, we're going to get all of the factors of the number that we entered. So once we've done all of that, using the functions that we've seen before, we're going to display the results to the user. We're going to blank line, then the number we entered is even odd. And we'll know that even odd is either the string even or odd. So here we just print it there. If it's a perfect square, we'll print the number, and we'll print the number, has a perfect square root. Or otherwise, if it doesn't, then we'll print the number does not have a perfect square. And we're going to pull this over a little bit to see perfect square. And we'll go to the end of that root. Okay. And we'll go to the start of the line here. And then when we're done that, we're going to print the factors of that number r, and print all the factors and then a blank line. Then we're going to prompt for, do you want another string? So another string is, would you like to test another number? Yes or no. And then it'll go back up here and do the test, seeing whether it's yes or no. If it's yes, we'll go through the process again. If it's no, then we'll print this message, thank you, which says thank you for playing. And that is the end of it. What I have not pointed out is the indentation that is being used in Python. Whenever we have any a section of code, anything that is indented belongs to that is that block. So when this function is even or odd, then this here is the what is part of that block. Next, here we have another definition, and here are the lines that are inside of the block of that function. So all of these functions are independent, and these functions have to be defined before they are used. That is one of the things that Python requires, because Python is an interpreted language and it only knows about things as it goes through and runs as it's executing. So here we are down at the main loop, and we can see that there is the while loop, and we are doing all of this here code here repeatedly. And when we are done that, that's when we print thank you. Okay, so do you want another string? Another string is inside the while loop before we do the test. If it was anywhere else, we would be in this loop forever. Okay, and here we are. This is where it gets executed. Okay, so this is the function that is typical in most Python programs as the very last thing that executes the code up above. Okay, so there we have it. I hope that has been a good explanation as to what we are doing. I can go down here and I can run it. By here I can say Python and the name of the program, which is Nature of, come on, Nature, oh, something went wrong there. My cursor was at the wrong place. I'm going to do here, and I'm going to go over to here. Okay, history restored. I don't want my history to be restored. We're going to open up a new terminal. And we're going to say Python nature of numbers. .py. There we go. Enter a positive number. I'm going to do -1. Only positive integers are expressed. I'm going to do yes. And it's going to say I was being silly. I enter a number. I will do 99. 99 is odd. It does not have a perfect square root, and the factors are 1, 3, 9, 11, 33, 9, and they're in order. Would I like another one? I'm going to do yes in capital Y. And it accepts it because we've got that is lower function. Enter it, 100. And here we can see a whole bunch of other numbers. Yeah, would you like another number? I'm going to type in YES. And we're going to see what happens. And it says, thank you for playing, which is what we expected.